What's up guys, ATCG here, welcome back to Yugioh Deck of the Day. Today we have one of the most anticipated decks for the casual players of 2020. Finally, Konami decided to print Winged Dragon of Ra support, and now the new Rage of Ra deck set based on Marik. We got 3 new decks, and one of them, of course, since it was based on Marik, it had to be the Winged Dragon of Ra. It got some new cards that facilitate strategy in a whole new level. It had never been an actual deck before. You could try to play some sort of deck with it, but now it has a win condition. It has ways to pull good old moves that Marik used in the anime that we were just being so nostalgic about that they were never being released as cards, but now they have finally become new, really good cards. And the deck is by far not a competitive deck, but if you're a fan of Marik, if you enjoy the Winged Dragon of Ra, then I'm pretty sure that this deck is for you. And I try to build a deck that how I think it's supposed to be played. Of course, it's by far not the best build because we have no idea how the deck can actually work and what different versions it can have. So please, if you have any suggestions for the deck, comment down below. Let's try to make this deck the best it can possibly be together. Any suggestion, any card advice, pretty much anything can help because I'm pretty sure a lot of people want to make this deck as the best version can possibly be. And I'm going to show you the deck that I've come up with, and I'm pretty sure it can do a lot of stuff, and I've thought some cool moves that I haven't seen online that I'm going to show you exactly what to do so you can facilitate more cards. So before I get to the deck profile, please guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. It helps us a lot. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our new videos. And now, let's get to the deck profile. So to start off, we have the All-Star Monster, 3 copies of the Winged Dragon of Ra. Finally, this card can have a deck of its own. It can come out on the field and just one-shot your opponent as it's supposed to be. This card, it has its restriction gone now because there are ways to bring it to special summon from the grave, ignoring its effect that says it's going to be special summoned. It also has incorporated effects from the anime that it did not have on the actual card, which is really cool because now we can do exactly what Marik used to do during the anime. So I'm going to show you how to use this card in the most efficient way. 3 copies of Sphere Mode. This card is basically not a way to out your opponent's board in this deck, it's more like a way to get access to Ra. But if you're going second, then of course you can use it to out your opponent's board, although hindering your normal summon is not something that you really want to do with this deck in most scenarios because you do have a lot of normal summons in the deck because you need them in order to be able to do your plays. But if you're going second, your opponent has set up a board, then this card can help you out it, and then possibly your opponent will not have anything new to summon, so you will just get it back and then go for the Ra plays. And the last Ra monster is 1 Immortal Phoenix. Before, this card was not even worth running because there was not a really good way to get to the grave aside from a card like Foolish Burial or something. But now there's a card that sends Divine Beasts from your hand to the grave to search Monster Reborn. So even if you draw the Immortal Phoenix, you can get to the grave to be able to use its effect. And even if you don't draw it, that's fine because it's not something that you need for the deck. It's something extra that can act as a backup plan in case it ever goes to the grave. So it's a good one to have in the deck. Now for the new support, starting with 3 copies of Guardian Slime. This card is a bit interesting because in theory, it's a way to disrupt your opponent's battle phase because when you take damage, you special summon this from the hand. If it battles an opponent's monster, its defense becomes equal to the attack of the monster battles. And if it's sent from the field to the grave or from the hand to the grave, you can add 1 spell or trap that lists the Winged Dragon of Ra. So the theory behind this card is that when your opponent attacks, you special summon it, and then it stops your opponent from doing anything, and if they get rid of it with a card effect, then you can search a card. But I think being able to summon this during your own turn is a lot more mandatory because it's a level 10 Aqua, and you can go into a new boss monster for the deck that acts as a secondary win condition aside from the Winged Dragon of Ra. So I've incorporated a way in this deck to special summon this during your own turn. I'm going to show you exactly what it is a little bit later. Next up, we have 3 copies of Reactor Slime. This is one of the normal summons of the deck. It gets you 2 tokens, so you can basically have the 3 materials you need for your Ra. And during the battle phase, you can tribute it to set a Metal Reflect Slime from your deck and can be activated this turn. So you can either use this as tribute fodder for Ra, or if you don't have access to Ra, then you can get a Metal Reflect Slime that you can activate immediately and use it as a material for the new boss monster that you can summon. That is pretty much an equal win condition with Ra because it's more consistent and it doesn't require as much setup. So I think you need to max out on Reactor Slime. 3 Ra's Disciple, again, another monster that gets you 3 monsters immediately. The deck has ways to get extra normal summons, so that's pretty much fine. You don't really care. But the problem is that you cannot special summon monsters except by the effect of Ra's Disciple. So if you have this on the field, then you cannot link, you cannot exceed. So it's something that you will summon only if you want to summon your Winged Dragon of Ra and go for game this way. Next up, 3 Summoner Monk. Summoner Monk not only does get you access to any level 4 monster like 4 Reactor Slime, but it also has synergy synergy with the deck for two different reasons. I'll show you two cards after Summoner Monk that give him insane utility for the deck. So the first one is one copy of Makiyora the Destructor, fresh off the ban list with its new errata. So the changes to this card is that it's not only a once per turn effect now, that you can only activate one trap card from your hand, but also it has to be sent from the monsters onto the grave, so it's not like you can foolish it from the deck or mill it and then it'll use the effect. But with Summoner Monk, you can get access to it from your deck and then link them both away, so you can activate a Metal Reflect Slime from your hand immediately and then go for this play. So you can get access to your Egyptian God Slime very easily. Also, the second card I'm about to show you is one that gets you access to Egyptian God Slime if you don't have Metal Reflect Slime, but if you have a Guardian Slime. And that's one copy of Performate Strickland. So getting access to Strickland with your Summoner Monk, you can either link him away or detach him from an Xyz. He'll be summoned back to the field and then you will take 1,000 damage. And because it's not an effect that pays life points, it's actual damage onto yourself, then you can special summon your Guardian Slime from your hand, then fuse away your Guardian Slime for the Egyptian God Slime, and also get a search from Guardian Slime. So these two monsters, in combination with Summoner Monk, make it that so you can pretty much adapt to the hand that you have, and then be able to summon either a Winged Dragon of Ra if you're going second, or if you're going first, then you can summon your Egyptian God Slime, which will protect the rest of your board. So I think this is a small engine that any Ra version should incorporate because it gives a lot of utility to the deck, it gives a lot of options. So if you haven't tested this, I truly recommend you try it out. It's a really, really good engine. Now let's go to the spells. We have 3 copies of Ancient Chant. Of course, it adds your Winged Dragon of Ra, it gives you an additional normal summon, and it gives the effect that Ra had in the anime to absorb the attack power of the monster you attributed to summon it, which is something that the actual card never had. So now we can actually do that, so the Winged Dragon of Ra can gain insane amount of attack power, just because not only will you be able to absorb the power from the monsters you attributed, but when Ra is tribute summoned, then you can pay all your life points except 100, and then it will gain that much attack as well, so it can easily rise above 8,000 attack points and be able to one-shot your opponent. Next up, we have 3 copies of Millennium Revelation. This card is the one that recycles and get access to your Monster Reborn every single turn. You send a Divine Beast from your hand to the grave, and you add Monster Reborn from your deck or grave to your hand. Also, you can send this to the grave to special summon, to be able to special summon Winged Dragon of Ra with Monster Reborn, ignoring its summoning condition, but it will be sent to the grave during the end phase. So the play that Marek used to do in the anime is that he sent the Winged Dragon of Ra to the grave, and then he kept bringing him back with Monster Reborn every single turn. And in the anime, and actually the other 2 gods, if they're special summoned, they go back to the grave during the end phase. The problem is that for some reason, Konami decided to put a restriction on the Winged Dragon of Ra in the actual game that cannot be special summoned, so this play was not possible. This card makes it possible, however, because you can special summon the Winged Dragon of Ra from your grave with Monster Reborn, ignoring that condition, and it will go back during the end phase, just like it did in the anime. So it's pretty much a very accurate adaptation of what the card actually does. So with this, the Winged Dragon of Ra has all of its effects that it used to have in the anime, and you can pick and choose what you want, because if you special summon Ra, then you cannot use its effect to gain attack points from depending on how many life points you have. But Ra has a second effect that you can pay 1,000 life points to target monster in the field destroyed, and this effect is not once per turn, so even if you can auto-decay your opponent if you special summon a Ra, you can still clear their board if you don't have anything to disrupt that effect. So that's also a really, really good effect. And being able to access Monster Reborn every single turn, even if you're not using it to bring back Ra, Monster Reborn is still a really, really broken card, so being able to activate it every single turn is still a really, really good effect. As long as you have Divine Beasts to discard, of course, which you play 7, so you do have a lot. So it's not like this card will be ever a brick, because you have ways to search them as well. Next up, play 3 copies of Mound of the Bound Creator, the good old field spell for level 10 or higher monsters that make them untargetable. They can be destroyed by card effects, and when they destroy a monster by battle, then you can just inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. Also, this card has an effect that if it's destroyed by a card effect instead of the grave, you can add a divine monster from your deck to your hand, which usually you cannot use this effect because you're using this in decks like Trains or Malefics or something else, but this is actually a Ra deck, so you do have divine monsters in your deck, so you can search them in case your opponent deals with it, and your opponent will be forced to deal with it because an Egyptian God Slime with this on the field is pretty much unkillable, so they have to do something about it sooner or later. Next up, 3 Super Poly. This has 2 purposes. It will get rid of your opponent's board, of course, to get a new monster, but also by discarding Guardian Slime, you can get a search as well, so that's also a plus. So if you have Guardian Slime, the cost for Super Poly is minimized and actually turns into a plus because you can search anything you want out of your spells and traps. Next up, 1 Monster Reborn. Of course, it's not a Ra deck, it's not a Marek deck if you're not running Monster Reborn, and Konami saw that it would be very appropriate to be able to search this in this particular deck because that was the play everyone was enjoying seeing during the anime. So yep, Monster Reborn, you will be able to activate it multiple times with this deck, so it's a really, really good card. Foolish Burial. This is mostly to send your Immortal Phoenix to the grave because having access to it a little bit earlier can actually be very important. So, or if you have a way to search your Monster Reborn, you can send anything. You can send a Summoner Monk, bring it back with Monster Reborn, and then use Monk's effect. So it's a really good card for that. 1 Terraforming, because Mound of the Bound Creator is that important, so you need to get access to it. And the last burn is Harpy's Feather Duster. Monster, another fresh off the ban list card, just like Makiora. This card has no errata, just activate it, clear your opponent's spell and trap zone. Pretty good card, especially in a deck that doesn't have a lot of inherent removal, especially not for backward removal, because Ra can act as a monster removal, but not backward removal, so you need to play a card like this. You can also play Twisters if you want, because you can use Guardian Slime as a discard, but I think that's a little bit overkill. If you want more backward removal, it should be in the side. And the only trap I run is 3 copies of Metal Reflect Slime. This is searchable, you can activate it immediately with decks like Reactor Slime and Makiora, and you can tribute it for an Egyptian God Slime, which is going to be the way you win most of your games along with Ra. So there are a couple of cards I'm not running. I'm not running Blaze Cannon. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's win more. Also, one with a Sun God is another win more card, because I think these cards do not facilitate any of your strategy. They just make Ra more resilient. They increase his attack, they make him unaffected, but still, I don't think you need that kind of stuff. Mound of the Bound Creator makes Ra resilient enough, and all those effects that he absorbs the attack of your tributed monsters and your life points are good enough to give him enough attack points, so I don't think you should play these cards. They will just interfere with the consistency of the deck, so I think these are not worth playing. Now let's go to the extra deck. We have 3 copies of Egyptian God Slime. This card is absolutely insane. You can summon it by tributing a level 10 Aqua monster with 0 attack, so it's either your Guardian Slime or your Metal Reflect Slime. If you tribute Guardian Slime, you will get a plus, and this card, first of all, can be treated as 3 tributes for tribute summons, so you can just summon Ra by tributing this, which is perfectly fine, but this is not why this card is here. It cannot be destroyed by battle, and your opponent cannot target monsters you control with card effects except Egyptian God Slime, and they cannot be targeted for attacks either. So if you have this with a Mound of the Bound Creator, your opponent basically cannot target anything you have on the field. They have to first get rid of the Mound, which will give you a plus, you will get a search, and you will most likely search a sphere mode, so even if they make a board, you will be able to clear it next turn. Also, they will also have to figure out a way to deal with Egyptian God Slime afterwards, and it's a monster that can be destroyed by about 3,000 attacks, so they have to use another effect that will target it and send it to the grave or spin it with a unicorn. So you make them waste so many resources, you search a play for the next turn with sphere mode, and you also have other stuff you can do. So this card, along with a Witdranger of Ra, are the 2 ways you're going to win most of your games, and this is one play that Marek did during the anime with fusing the Metal Reflect Slime with a Revival Gem to create this Egyptian God Slime that was basically invincible, so that's exactly what we're trying to incorporate in our deck too, which makes the deck so nostalgic and so much fun. Next up, we have the Super Poly targets, like 1 Starving Venom, of course, Dragostapelia, Earth Golem Ignister, and Madragon of the Swamp. These 4 are basically the 4 monsters you need to play in your extra deck. In any deck, you play Super Poly if you don't have any archetype-specific monsters that you want to play in a deck like Shadows or something. Next, we play a few Xyz monsters. First, play 1 Castel. Castel gives you a lot of pressure going second when you have your Guardian Slime in your hands, so by going into Summoner Monk, into Trick Clown, and then into Castel, you can get rid of 1 card with Castel. Trick Clown will get itself back. You will take 1,000, so you'll special summon Guardian Slime from your hand, and then you can go into Phoenix. Also search a card with your Guardian Slime, get rid of another card, and then you have your Castel and your Phoenix, so you can go into Unicorn to get rid of another card. So just with Summoner Monk, you get to search for any of your one or spell and traps that you have for the Winged Dragon of Ra if you have your Guardian Slime in your hand, and you also get rid of 3 cards, so it gives you a lot of utility and a lot of pressure when going second. 1 Abyss Dweller, of course, because some decks just cannot deal with it unless they have something to negate it. 1 Baguska, because it covers the rest of what Dweller cannot deal with. 1 Tornado Dragon for backer decks, and the last Xyz monster is 1 Gustav Max. I don't play Liebe in this deck, I don't think you need it. The deck already has enough attack power to deal a lot of damage. This is here just in case your opponent is left with 2,000 life points or less, and you have a lot of level 10 monsters like the Ra, of course, Egyptian God Slime, your Guardian Slime, so it's very easy to summon this and go for game. And I play 3 Link monsters that basically have the utility with Summoner Monk. The first one is Wee Witch's Apprentice. This one is you summon if you go for your Makiora, because they're both darks with Summoner Monk. Your Makiora will trigger, you will be able to summon your Metal Reflect Slime, and then go into Egyptian God Slime, and when your opponent deals with Wee Witch's Apprentice, you will get back your Summoner Monk to have another play. 1 Nightmare Phoenix. This is if you're going second and you want to summon your Trick Clown instead, so you can get access to your Reactor Slime, and actually not your Reactor Slime, your Guardian Slime, so you will get rid of backer as well. And because Trick Clown will come back, I'm also playing 1 Nightmare Unicorn, because you will then be able to link your Phoenix and your Unicorn to get rid of another card. So it's like a combo that Summoner Monk gives you a lot of utility and also removal when you're going second. So yep, that's the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a really, really fun deck. If you're a fan of Marek, I recommend you pick these cards up. This is going to be the deck for you. You will have a great time playing it. And again, if you have any suggestions for the deck, please write down in the comments. We'll try to make this deck as good as possible it can be, because it's by far not a competitive deck, unfortunately, but still we're going to play it. We're going to have a great time playing it, and we'll try to figure out exactly what it needs to be played in this deck. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. It helps us a lot with the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming deck profiles and videos in general, and we'll see you next time.